This presentation is a Lawns Legumes Resilient Yards workshop, turf alternatives webinar. We're going to teach you how your yards can kind of be managed to promote eco-friendly landscape management. Now we'll kind of jump into the meat of the presentation. Lawns Legumes Resilient Yard Workshop, your yard can be the change. We fertilize a turf grass area. We're putting on lots of nitrogen and even sometimes phosphorus. And when a rain event comes after that, a lot of that nitrogen and phosphorus gets washed away into the nearby body of water.
One of the things we want to talk about are how some of those pollutants do get into our waterways. While we're going to talk a lot about native species and about pollinators, we also want you to consider other ways that you can improve our environment and deal with some of our conservation challenges. And one of those ways is reducing stormwater runoff. So we use this image here to help you understand a little bit about how pollutants like the salt that we saw on the sidewalk in that previous slide begin to get into our waterways. Once the water goes into the storm drain, it heads right into your nearest water body, into the nearest creek, lake, or river.
Really simple thing that people can do is just redirect your downspout. How many people have seen or have a downspout that's draining directly to an alley or to a driveway or a sidewalk that is just completely going to the street or the alley? Those are the easiest ones to redirect and put it into your landscape, but know where you're putting it. Of course, don't direct it into your neighbor's yard. Don't direct it so it might get into your basement or your neighbor's basement. Ideally, you want to redirect it into a rain garden at a safe distance.
So starting to rethink how you can use your landscape can help you direct drainage and deal with drainage issues. We talk a lot about the stacked benefits of some of these plantings. So planting native plants in your yard doesn't just provide habitat for pollinators. You can also use those plantings in a rain garden. And at the same time that they're providing habitat, they're also capturing runoff and protecting stormwater. You can add pollinator-friendly trees to your yard. That's great. Well, they also provide shade. They also capture carbon and provide oxygen. This is a great example of the type of site assessment that you can do right at home. You can get an aerial photograph of your property online, and you can start to think about how you use your property and how water moves on your property. Start to think about the functions that you use for your yard. Start to think about where, if a raindrop landed on your roof, where would it go? Which downspout would it come down? Where does all of that drainage go? And does it run off into your sidewalk and right into the storm sewer? Think about sun and shade. So if you are adding plantings to your yard,
let's think about where we can put this vegetation, finding the right plants for the right place.
We want to make sure that you pick the right plant for the right spot so that you have the most success in adding these plantings and making your yard more resilient.
I want to talk a little bit about how to get these established. So I'm going to do a quick example of how to establish a pollinator lawn through an overseeding.
Right on.
Step 1, you mow that lawn as short as you possibly can. In step 2, after mowing, you rake away the clippings. What you're trying to do here is expose as much soil as you possibly can. That way, when you get to step 3, spreading the seed is making contact with the soil bed rather than getting caught up in the turf grass.
This is an example of those stacked environmental benefits of improving water quality and providing pollinator habitat at the same time. So we want you to make a flat bottomed rain garden. We want to make sure that the reason it has a flat bottom is that you can infiltrate more water over a flat bottom than if it's a bowl shape, so the bottom needs to be flat. One of the most important things is finding the right location for your rain garden.
Go for state 1 before you dig. Ensure that there's drainage coming from hard surfaces so that, in this case, they cut a swale from that downspout. And then they dig the basin bottom first.
Turn, rake, and loosen that soil. So we're not using a tiller, we're just using shovels.
So really great native plants like purple prairie clover, lead plant, and milk vetch.
And the wild garlic, nodding onion, and big leaf aster up in, this is the dry areas.
The serviceberry.
Rose milkweed, also called swamp milkweed.
Wild geranium, which is
one of my favorites.
Smoke blooms in the spring.
It's blue indigo, a beautiful blue color. Butterfly milkweed.
Wild bergamot to a blazing star, which is an absolute favorite of bees and monarchs alike.
So you want to spread them out first, and then you can dig them. Some pointers on when to weed or when to go out and care for your landscape. I like to think about these big holidays coming up: Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day. I actually throw in Mother's Day, which we just had, for the early spring. It does take time, but the long-term benefits are awesome.